Here I am in my kitchen. I have a keyboard, an iOS GarageBand and an iPad here, and some sandwich making materials. What's the connection between the two? Well, I'm going to try and explain what music is, how it's made up, using the humble sandwich. So, we have one piece of bread here, which is our bass line. And we have another piece of bread here, which is going to be our melody line. Just use the Alchemy synth or something for this. That's alright. It's kind of working so far. However, we need something to bind things together to make it a bit more interesting. Now, if you bought your sandwich from the shop and you took a chunk out of it and then realised there was nothing in it, you'd be slightly annoyed, and rightly so. So we need something to bind these two things together. Now, of course, the way to glue a bit of bread to another piece of bread is to put some butter on. There we go, bit of butter. It's nearly time for lunch anyway. So, the two bits of bread will now stick together. That's okay. They will pretty much adhere. Now, what we need is something to go in the sandwich to make it more interesting. Now that, in musical terms, is chords. So, if I add another track here, for example, we've got our bass line and our lead line, but we could do with maybe some piano, or I'll tell you what, I'll get some electric piano, because it's a bit more middly and it's got a little bit more sort of soul to it. So, if we take the humble, cheap cheddar cheese here, we have ourselves a major chord. Yeah, great. Everything's lovely, we kind of know where we are. But I have a slightly nicer cheddar cheese here, so perhaps instead of that chord, we could start making the chord a little bit more interesting, a bit more tasty. Of course, you don't have to add all this stuff. Some people are happy with the humble, cheap cheddar cheese sandwich, good old staple. But then, what happens if we add things like this? The slowly reduced plum and apple chutney. That's going to make things a little bit nicer. Now what we can have are things like this, where we have something that is just moving about in itself, but still has that God, it smells good. Still has that sort of harmonic content. Now we've got something that just is a bit nicer. So once you've got your cheese in position, once you've got your major or minor chord, it's major in this case, once you've got your bits and pieces there, you can start adding ingredients to make it just a bit nicer. Things like my nice collection of plum tomatoes here. That would sort of add a bit more to your mix. So I hope that's kind of making it a little bit more obvious in terms of what you can do. Now, the subtle way to do this is to have something where in the mix it's quite low. You want to make that pickle, that nice plum and apple chutney, specially hand-lovingly, freshly, slowly reduced chutney, to stick your sandwich together, but just have that little sort of piquant, that little flavour that just makes it a little bit more subtle. So for example, that would mean mixing my chord so it was a little bit lower in level. The chord, the chutney, simply performs a supporting role in your music. So there we go. I hope that's kind of a little bit of an analogy on music and sandwiches.